Okay, welcome to another exciting episode of Roughneck RCs. This is Project Bullhead. Bullhead was released in 1990. Let's give you a little history lesson on it. The Bullhead is almost the same as a Clodbuster, pretty much the same parts. Clodbuster was released in 1987. Soon became the most sought after monster truck RC out there in the 80s. Everybody wanted one. It is made by the company Tamiya. A few years later, about 1990, Tamiya reissued the Clodbuster with the Bullhead body. So everything else, all the components and stuff, are Clodbuster. It just has a different body, which is a Bullhead. I personally picked this one up from my local hobby store. It was on the floor for sale. It was in storage for about 20 years. I tried to use the original electronics. I wanted to do a series on old versus new, like the Bullhead versus the new day Monster Truck Summit, but the electronics all failed. One of the servos were pretty bad off, and been sitting around for 20 years. So I decided to do this. I am going to do a revamp, or a rebuild, as you would want to say, on the Bullhead. So that being said, let's get started. I mean, first of all, this ugly body, which I consider ugly, but most people don't, has to go. It's just like a deformed baby. If you look at it, this part of the cab is too high. I mean, it really is very hideous. I haven't picked out a body yet because the upgrades I am doing will probably increase the wheelbase, which then I'll have to go get a body that will fit that wheelbase. But it being said, this is a very ugly body. So, this is gone. So what we have, well, back in the day, they had manual speed controls. For all you that aren't really know about the older electronic systems in the old stuff, in the 80s and 90s, probably until about 92, I believe, they were using manuals and everything. And then late in the 90s, you had the option to take out the manual speed control and put in a ESC, electronic speed control. So for that, as you can see, it's a manual. I already undid a lot of the wires just to save time for filming purposes. This right here is where the battery used to slide. We're gonna hang on to this piece. We'll just put it over to the side. So looking at this thing, it's pretty much a dinosaur. Now we know that they reissued the Clodbuster again last year. Tamiya has brought the Clodbuster out. It is pretty much the same truck, except for they put an electronic speed control in it, which has updated pretty much its function. So, but I want to go a step beyond that. I didn't just want to go buy a kit that was renewed. I wanted to take something old and bring it into the future, or bring it into now. There's a lot of hop-up kits for these things, and I actually went through and found on eBay, which is right here in this package, and we'll get to that in a minute. This package right here contains my CLODZILLA parts. Now, back in the day, I always thought CLODZILLA was cool, the hop-ups for it, and this is my second Clodbuster per se. I bought one probably in the 90s, probably late 90s, and I never got around to doing this kind of project. Loved the truck, but decided, there was better things out there, and so I sold the truck, to my cousin because he wanted it for the same reason. He wanted to do the Godzilla build, and never looked back. But I saw this thing, got it for a good price, 120 bucks, and I was gonna gut it anyhow. Why buy a new kit for that purpose when I can just do it with this? So what we got is a manual speed control. Now we're gonna start with that. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start taking some of these screws out. Now, like I said, I already started taking some of them out before, just to save time. But I wanted to leave a few in so you get the gist of it. I mean, it's pretty easy. I have a little container down here. I have a little work stand. Now that's all I had to do to get that out. I pulled that out. You see, it's a dinosaur. These are old wires. One of the negatives had come off. Yeah, you're saying, well, you could just resolder that. You're right, I could. But it being old and all corroded and stuff, I mean, it can be cleaned up, it can be reused, but for me, it is a dinosaur. And I want something new and refreshing and fun to play with. So, we aren't going to do the dinosaur thing. We are going to take all this out. So this plate, I'm not sure if we're going to reuse this plate for anything, but I'm one that even if stuff is busted, I try to save it because you never know. You might have a scratch build that you do or some project and you can cut pieces off or something, or you never know what you're going to use it for. So I have a box down in my cellar that has just a random variety of different parts that I use for different things. Now, servo, it had a servo in it. I already took that out. That servo was shot. Before I decided to do this mock-up, I wanted to really do the versus mode. So I had put a new steering servo in, which is from Traxxas. But due to the fact that this thing was just so much of a pain in my butt, and I decided to screw it, just go for the build, and that's what we're doing. So this was already put in, but I never got around to the rest because I didn't want to have the hassle of refurbishing all this old crap. When in the end I really want a CLODZILLA. This is the old thing. It is really, really old. I mean, really, really old. One of my cameras went down. Here, I'll give you a close-up. Give me a close-up in this camera. I mean, old stuff. At the time, it was good for what it did. You know what I think about this? I think about this like this. Junk. Don't need it. Don't care about it. It is out of my way. So that being said, see, here's the negative. This is the negative wire. I told you. I mean, there's some tape around it. Useless. Yeah, see where I landed? That's what I care about. We're just gonna throw it in the top because that's all junk. We don't care about it. Now, as being said, we are looking at this, and we're looking at it. And before we get to really ripping this thing apart, now I want to show you what I have in store for it. Basically, right here is a controller I'm going to use. It is not an expensive controller. You can buy the controller for about 60 bucks. Comes with a receiver. It is a DX2E Spectrum. I don't really need a fancy controller for this project. I mean, later on I might upgrade. I might choose to upgrade. I might want to run toggles to a whole bunch of different things. But as of right now, this is going to do what I need it to, just fine. So here is one of the motors. The other one has not come in. It is on back order. But these motors, this is a reverse turn, but you need one for this particular project. And this is a Traxxas 21 turn for 14 volt. I'm going to run dual batteries in this thing. So this is from the same motors that are ran in the Revo. I have another one coming in, but it hasn't come in yet. It should be here a day or two. I ordered it a couple weeks ago. But I get impatient and I want to start building and showing you guys stuff. So this is the motor I'm going to be using. Same thing. I'm going to use the EVX2. This will run both my motors, run dual battery pack. It is from Traxxas. It is from Traxxas. As you can see, it's pretty much the standard one they use in their Revo. I'm going to use it in this creature of a beast here that I'm building. So hopefully, with this, the two motors, it will be a badass truck. But let's get down to what's in the package. I have not opened this yet. You see, I have not opened it. So we are going to open this package and see what's in it. I don't know what this details. I've never actually built one of these. I'm probably gonna need more space than this, but let's see what we have. We have all your standard ordering thing of what it contains. We'll look at that later off the camera. We have, well, the bag kind of got open a little bit, but slit. That's alright, we'll stick this in here. I don't know what pin goes to, but we'll stick it in there anyhow. Just so it won't get lost. Bag parts. Steering parts, I assume. They look like that. I haven't. Yeah, it says steering rod kit. So there we go. It's a steering rod kit. We have metal parts here. You see what I mean? It came open. I mean, this is the hassle you deal with when you order from eBay. Sometimes things are opened. Hopefully I have all the parts needed here. Hopefully nothing got lost. But this is going to be the frame. Metal. Not 80s plastic. 80s plastic, though very thick and durable. Metal, a lot better. Much cooler. Will do the project some really good needed things. So, what we got here, I don't think God only knows, but looks like more control arm steel. Once I open it, the paperwork with it should tell me what each thing is. Like I said, I've never built one of these before. I've only seen pictures and some YouTube videos. More parts. Something, more parts. Now, granted, if I am missing something, I can probably make something that will work. I have enough parts floating around here. See, there we go. CLODZILLA suspension. This is all the linkages and different things. Lots of bolts. Fun stuff. This is going to be a very intense project. Very intense project. And here we go. more parts. We got it all laying out here. I'm gonna have to move some of this stuff. I'll probably use the magic of TV, and we'll go to a quick little recess or blackout, what you would say. I mean, basically, when you come back, I'll probably have this a little bit more cleared. But I just want you to get an idea of what this entails. This is a really big project. I've done other projects that are more costly, which I actually haven't introduced it. I have my Wraith. I built a custom Wraith this past winter, and I haven't actually got around to introducing it yet. And that I spent, you know, quite a bit of money into over the winter time. I mean, every time I turned around, I was like, oh, I want to do this to it, or I want to do that, and it's still a project and growing. I mean, there's still things I want to do to it, but you know, for all intents and purposes, it is mostly done. It's just afterthoughts that I should have had this or I should have done that. But we'll get to that in a later date. I'll introduce my custom Wraith, which I have nicknamed the Widowmaker. The reason I would nickname the Widowmaker is because if I was married, which I am not, and I spent the kind of money I did on one car, my wife would have killed me. But I don't have a wife, so I'm good. But still, I spent insane amount of money this past winter. But it was cold. I live in Connecticut, and in the wintertime, snow and that, I don't do winters well. I do some runs outside, but I haven't filmed anything. I'm just new to the filming industry, new to this kind of filming industry. My background's in special effects, practical effects, but neither here or say I don't do that for a living right now. Maybe I'll add some of that stuff, that cool movie magic, to my videos. I haven't come up with any great ideas at the moment, and it's costly, and I'd rather spend the money in builds that are interesting. So, more parts. And got more rolling parts there. Let's see what's in here. It's just empty junk. Another one of these. I got 4 of these. 4 of these little things. Now, obviously, all I have to do is get some tubing and cut one if I'm missing any of these. But for now, I'm going to stick them right down in here, my little work thing with different screws I've taken out from this thing. And with the magic of TV, I'm going to go ahead and clear all this off. And I'll be back to you in a little bit.